I want you to think about the most predictable person you know. Maybe it's your partner, a parent, your best friend, someone whose personality just feels solid, like a rock. Now, imagine if you woke up tomorrow and they were a completely different person. Not just grumpy, but gone, replaced by a stranger. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? And that thought immediately forces this one really scary question. When someone you love becomes unrecognizable, you can't help but look at them and think, who on earth are you? And what did you do with the person I knew? It feels like reality itself is broken, like a total betrayal of everything you thought was true.
So let's really get into this. Most of us, we walk around thinking that personality is like granite. It's carved into us from the very beginning, and that's just who we are. It's permanent. But the science? Well, the science tells a completely different story. It turns out personality is a lot more like clay. It's moldable. And sometimes life hits us with something, an accident, an illness, a deep trauma that can totally reshape that clay, almost in an instant. Today, we're going to explore this really fascinating and, kind of frightening science. We'll look at 4 main things. First, this illusion of consistency and why we need people to be predictable. Then, what happens when the brain is, under siege? After that, we'll see how this stuff actually shows up in real life. And finally, we'll talk about how to deal with it all, how to navigate this new normal. Let's get started. All right, let's start with our own heads. Why does it feel so personal, so threatening when someone else changes? It really all comes down to this deep, primal need we have for the world to make sense. See, we all operate with something called the illusion of consistency. It's this quiet assumption that the people in our lives are going to be the same person tomorrow that they are today. And this isn't just, a nice thought, it's a survival thing. If I know how you're going to act, I feel safe. When that predictability just shatters, so does our feeling of security. All of a sudden, it feels like you're sleeping next to a stranger or that your parent has been replaced by an imposter. And that leads to this very specific, really painful kind of grieving called ambiguous loss. You're mourning the person you lost, but their body is still right there, walking and talking. There's no funeral, there's no closure. There's just this constant, brutal reminder of who isn't there anymore. It's an incredibly lonely and confusing place to be. So what is actually happening inside the body, inside the brain? Let's pop the hood and take a look. We're moving into our next section to see how this physical organ can completely rewrite the software of who we are. When a personality just flips like a switch, science usually points to one of 3 main culprits. And get this, it's almost never a conscious choice. What's really going on is often physical damage to the brain's hardware, a wild storm of chemical imbalances, or a deep, fundamental rewiring caused by severe trauma. The textbook case for neurological damage, the one everybody studies, is the story of Phineas Gage. Back in 1848, this guy was a railroad foreman, and an explosion sent a huge iron rod straight through his head. Miraculously, he lived, but the man who came back wasn't the same. His friends famously said he was no longer Gage. The nice, responsible guy they knew was gone, and in his place was someone impulsive, profane, and just completely unreliable. So what happened? Well, that iron rod basically destroyed a huge piece of Gage's prefrontal cortex. Now, you can think of your prefrontal cortex as the CEO of your brain. It's the boss, it handles impulse control, it manages how we act around other people. It's basically the brakes on our wildest urges. When that area gets damaged, from an injury, a stroke, a tumor, those brakes are just gone. The CEO has left the building, and the more emotional, impulsive parts of the brain are having a party. But you don't need a hole in your head for things to go sideways. Sometimes the brain's whole chemical orchestra just gets completely out of tune. Take dopamine, that's our reward and pleasure chemical. A sudden surge of it, like in a manic episode, can take a quiet, shy person and turn them into a reckless, life-of-the-party risk-taker, seemingly overnight. And if it crashes, deep, crushing apathy. The same goes for serotonin, our mood stabilizer. When that drops, it can trigger a depression so severe it looks like a total personality transplant. And then there's trauma. Really severe trauma doesn't just leave emotional scars, it physically alters the brain's wiring. The amygdala, which is like the brain's little fear alarm, can actually get bigger and way more sensitive. It starts seeing threats absolutely everywhere. The brain gets stuck, locked in a permanent fight or flight mode. So a sudden shift to being aggressive or withdrawn or super jumpy,
That isn't a character flaw. It's a painful but adaptive attempt to survive in a world that now feels incredibly dangerous.
Okay, that was a lot of heavy science, right? So now let's bring it back down to earth. How do these brains under siege actually show up in the real world, in ways you might even recognize? You know the cliche, right? The middle-aged guy who suddenly buys a motorcycle and leaves his family. We all roll our eyes and call it a selfish midlife crisis. But what if science sees something else? What if it's declining hormones causing depression, which then triggers a desperate dopamine-fueled hunt just to feel alive again? It might be less of a choice and more of a biochemical panic attack about getting older.
Now this one is so important. Imagine your sweet, gentle grandmother suddenly becomes paranoid and angry and confused. Your first thought is probably dementia, right? Or that she's just changing. But wait, before you jump to that conclusion, there is a crucial medical check to make. In the elderly, a simple urinary tract infection, a UTI, can cause severe delirium. The infection creates this inflammatory storm that messes with the brain, and it can look exactly like psychosis. The good news, you treat the UTI, and very often the person you know comes right back. Or how about this one? The partner who has always been the rock, the one who handles everything. And then one day, they just stop. They quit their job, they can't manage simple chores. They just seem checked out. This isn't them deciding to give up. It's often a sign of a total system collapse from chronic stress and burnout. Their nervous system has effectively crashed. Their battery isn't just low, it's completely dead. They are physically and cognitively incapable of being the person they used to be.
So, this is a lot to take in. If the people we love can be reshaped so easily, what are we supposed to do? How do we even begin to handle this new reality? This brings us to our last and honestly our most important section, a real practical toolkit for navigating this new normal. How you respond needs to be rooted in science and a whole lot of compassion, not judgment. There are 4 really critical steps. First, you always rule out the hardware. That means a full medical workup. Check for tumors, infections, hormonal issues, everything. Second, and this is hard, you have to learn to separate the person you love from their symptoms. The behavior is a sign of what's happening to them, it's not who they are. Third, create a low-demand environment. A brain in crisis can't handle pressure. Just focus on safety, calm, and basic needs. And finally, you have to let yourself grieve what's been lost while practicing radical acceptance of what's here right now. Here's a powerful tool that can help with that. It's a simple mantra. When your loved one is being hurtful or distant or just not them, repeating this to yourself can be a total lifeline. This is not them, this is their brain on fire. It helps you create a little space, a little compassionate distance, right? You wouldn't get mad at someone for having a fever, and this is pretty much the neurological version of that. It helps you see the behavior for what it is, a symptom, not a personal attack. And really, that brings us to the core of it all. The self, the personality that we show the world, is this beautiful, complex, but ultimately really fragile thing. It's held together by this delicate dance between our brain's biology, its chemistry, and all of our life experiences. And when that balance gets thrown off, the person we thought we knew can seem to just evaporate. It's a scary idea, for sure, but it's also a deep reminder of our shared fragile humanity. Which leaves us with one last, pretty challenging question to think about. If our personality, the thing we think of as us, can be so easily changed by a physical event, then what does that say about who we really are? Who is the real you? Is it your actions, your biology, or is it something else, something deeper, that manages to hold on even when the brain is on fire? It's a question worth sitting with, I think, for all of us.